president.
Oh, the
I will let you
president?
know
Okay.
when you're live.
Okay.
And you're live.
Live, all right. Call to order the Parks Rec Board meeting for June 23rd, 2025. First, we'll stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comment on items not included on the agenda? None? All right. Approve the minutes. I wasn't here last week, so I'll rely on you ladies to let me know.
Yep, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right. Minutes have been approved. All right. Discussions, decisions. County rec master plan recommendations to the county. Discussion, next steps and alternative phases involving Rod and Gun Club and golf course. Where do we stand on that? Because I was not here to.
Well, at the last meeting, we didn't really talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
We basically just went over the master plan with Great West. That's what we spent a majority of the time doing.
Okay.
And there were no other members. There was no one here from Rod and Gun or from Golf Course.
You're so quiet.
Right.
And this was a topic that I had brought up to Abra for discussion because I wasn't at the last meeting either. And
Okay.
so I was like, probably need to have a discussion on next steps and kind of like what's going to happen now that we have this. What's the next steps?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if you don't mind, could we back up and do the recommendation first on that county recommendation of the master plan? And kind of make that first.
Oh, recommend. Oh,
Yeah, and then get that out of the way and then have more discussion.
Okay. So looking for a recommendation on approving this master plan to send it to the commissioners, correct? Is that what we're looking at? Yeah.
And I have one question before we do that. So I just want to make sure I understand. So this master plan is something that if we approve and it does move on and everything's approved, it's not a final thing. It can be amended. It can be changed.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a foundation to get us going to next steps. Am I correct on that?
To my understanding, it's a living, breathing document, but it should be able to change it if we want to down the road, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think you can amend things obviously because I mean it's a picture of time right now, right?
Right.
I think time might change. It's more of a guiding document, especially to show like any possible funding sources that we've done our due diligence and we've thought through kind of everything that needs to be thought through when we're saying, hey, we would like some funding to build these fields or whatnot. Here's our master plan. You know, we have the engineering stamp on this. We've had public comment. We're not just like freewheeling it and spitballing an idea.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I guess where I'm at with is I'm looking at some of the stuff in here talks about if you were to do just fields or if you were to do a structure or if you were to do courts, all of that kind of stuff, that they don't have to be in those specific identities of where they are labeled at. Is this correct?
That's
or-
correct, yes, to my understanding.
Okay, because I know there's, and it didn't come up in any of the stuff that we've done in the past, but I know there's a lot of people in the community who are wondering about, a structure and, the swimming pool and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to make sure that this doesn't override any
No.
of that kind of stuff.
No, I think
Okay.
it's just a guiding document. And again,
Perfect.
like
Mhm.
I said, it's a
I just want to
reading.
clarify
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
So if I may, Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
On page 1, in the executive summary, it does say this plan is a valuable tool for the county. It must be continually updated to represent current and changing conditions. The schedule of improvements must be reviewed and adjusted on an annual basis to account for changing funding availability, public, and maintenance needs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's great clarification.
So do I have a,
I will make
Motion.
a motion that we'll go ahead and move forward with adopting this plan.
My second?
I will approve the recreation master plan to move on to the county commissioners.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Mhm.
Did you, was he supposed to make discussion and then call for it?
I know, that's why I just wondered.
You had a motion and a second, right?
Motion and a second.
So you just say, there's been a motion and a second to approve the master plan, and I would read whatever is on the front of that, to approve that or to recommend this master plan to the commission. Is there any public comment? And that's when everybody can say more about it too, if they want.
All right, so the Parks and Open Space Master Plan for Broadwater County has been motioned and seconded for approval to be pushed to the county commissioners. Are there any comments from the floor?
And it gives you guys an opportunity to make more comment too.
No, it's not even live.
It's not? Uh-oh.
I mean, no,
Oh.
and also anyone live that's making comments.
Oh, I
too.
said-
have
I
to
thought you said it's
constantly
not
check
even
the
live.
stream.
Oh, okay.
And nobody's watching currently right now, but, oh, yes, they are, actually, her live. So I have to watch for public comment.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Which there isn't any.
So really just doing a motion actually opens any item up for discussion. Everybody thinks if you're doing the motion, you're ready to vote, but you're
Correct.
technically opening it up for discussion by all.
So that should have happened before I.
No,
No,
you can do both. You can do
Mhm.
both. We do both in the commission meetings too. We'll
Okay.
talk about something, then open it and have more discussion sometimes.
So Ron Glut Club had no comments. No comments from the golf course, to my knowledge. I guess Swenson. How do you say his name?
Commissioner Swenson.
Commissioner Swenson had no comments for there, and nothing from the public at all.
No.
Mr. Chair, there was some online feedback that Kevin England from Great West had sent, but I think we will read through that at the hearing. It'll be more appropriate for the hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Did the motion pass?
Motion passed. Yes.
Did we go all those in favor?
Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those, well, majority rules, so. Ayes have it. Motion is passed.
Okay, thanks.
Updates and discussion on the vault toilet. Do we have any information on the vault toilet?
We have to go back to A, for discussion, decision on next steps and alternate basis.
Yeah.
You can do
Oh.
that, or you can come back to it. It's
Okay.
up to you guys.
Alright.
If you want to come back, if you want to complete other business first,
Sure.
and
Next
come back,
steps.
you could.
Do we have any alternate phases? Anybody?
So, Mr. Chair.
Mhm.
So what I was trying, for me, I need a bigger picture and like long-term thinking, and so I was just thinking, since we passed this, it goes to the commissioners now, then I guess just for me, having an explanation as to what the next steps are, and depending on what alternative, I guess, is chosen or how the commissioners decide that they want to deal with this, are we going to be looking at alternative, like phases, phasing this in? I just don't know how this is going to be implemented.
I think once it goes to the commissioners approve it, then we're at the point that we can take this document and go to finding grants, finding funding, and moving it on in that direction. And then during the process, if we come up with funding for a certain phase of it, a certain idea in there, then we can start moving forward with that. It's not set in stone which items we're going to go in what funding we're looking at first. It's kind of first come, first serve, and what the community needs or what we can get grants for.
Okay.
Or if there's a business in town that wants to fit the bill to build something.
Okay. So, just a follow-up question then. Is the Bureau of Reclamation, is there a deadline, or is it just based on the master plan for the land out there?
May I?
But yes.
I believe the deadline, okay, don't quote me on this because I wasn't here, but I believe Nicole has told me they wanted something to be done in 5 years. That obviously didn't happen.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I don't know that anybody's like
Okay.
chopping at the bit to get it done, right? So,
Okay. So as long as we have this, then we
yeah,
can,
I think this is a really, really good step forward.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a bigger step than has been taken since
For
we
the
received the
properties?
land. Yeah.
I was
Okay.
gonna say,
Yeah.
I work with the Bureau of Reclamation, and nothing's ever come up about that property since.
They're probably yeah.
government.
It's probably not huge because I think and I'm saying this without any factual basis whatsoever, but I would imagine that they just didn't want to see it go to like homes or subdivision or something like that. There was supposed to be some type of just outdoor recreation. So
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
You have any questions?
I don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I guess just a follow-up question would be, do we need to have a representative or someone that's going to be working with the Rod and Gun Club and the golf course for incorporation of this plan, or how? I guess I don't understand how that's going to work.
Good to have somebody from each organization take their ownership of trying to find what they want to do with their portion of the land and go from there. And I'm trying to remember, we came up with the county, or the voters came up and picked their idea of which one they wanted, but as we said, it's a living, breathing document. If we want to go a different way, it can go that way. So, does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess maybe after the commissioners have their meeting, maybe we can have a little bit more in-depth
And then
conversation.
from that point too, once the commissioners, if they approve it, when we get together, then we can all start taking small pieces of the pie and trying to find funding different ways,
Yeah.
different avenues, and then see what we can do to plant the seed and to start seeing if we can get something to actually grow out there.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
me, since Mr. Peck is here from the Rod and Gun Club, he may have some thoughts just like on all that.
I'll just take up all the chairs since nobody's here. Brad Peck, BECK, Broadwater Rod and Gun Club. I'm a little in the dark. I missed the last meeting as well. I just real quick tried to get online to see what the current proposed master plan was. And the only thing it does is has the two properties divided up with no plan for the properties. So a little bit trying, playing catch up. It appears there's a multi-page document that is not available publicly. Is that correct?
You're right. We have a copy for you.
We have a copy. You want?
I would absolutely love a copy if I could.
I
Yeah.
think the old one is on there, but I don't think it's on
Here,
this
you
new
can-
one I just got
There's
today.
two old ones. Yeah, one from 23 and then one with just the
Oh.
map itself.
Yeah, this is the newest one from Monday.
Do you want me to send that to you electronically? look back to it.
If we could,
Yeah.
please, for sure.
think I have-
We do address quite a bit of our board via email.
Yes.
We're now a fairly large club and members and board members all over the state, so
Are you the same email, Brad?
I am, yep. The TLR, is that the one you have?
Yes, TLR,
Perfect.
INC.
Yep.
INC1, okay.
Can I have a few minutes?
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, okay. Thank you. I don't mean to make paper noises when I'm standing here.
Okay. If I may, Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I think we have a lot of interesting discussion ahead of us, because I don't know that the county can really give the board at this time. We're kind of in a new spot, so I don't know if we can give a whole lot of direction. I think we're going to have to kind of come up with a plan and a direction, and maybe it's a strategic plan, maybe not.
Mhm.
Maybe we're not quite that defined.
Mhm.
But it might take the board to kind of say, here's how we want to move forward with things, because we're kind of in a new space. I know it would be wonderful if we could afford to have a Parks and Rec department,
Mm-hmm.
and if we could have somebody dedicated to maintenance and dedicated to grant writing and all these lovely things, but we're just not at that point.
Correct.
So as a board member, I guess, or members, I mean, ideas are good. How do we move forward with
How do we
things?
move
How do we work with the entities that are there, the groups that are there? There's always going to be, like our procurement policy, and then state MCA, says there's rules now. Like we can't just do like a $1 lease for people. It's like with the rodeo club leasing the fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use in-kind. There's a ton of in-kind work, but there's different costs associated with things now. I know Rod and Gun has, they've got some time left on their lease, but they have some hurdles. Maybe we could help them address those. I don't know. I think
Mhm.
there's some really good discussion to be had.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking, and I mean, it's gonna take a while.
It is. I know Jen had said that there's, for the Centerville property, there's a couple groups, whatnot, were ready to move forward on a couple, I don't want to put any words in her mouth, but there's a couple of projects that were ready to move forward pretty quickly that other entities had the funds ready to, I think, like the Peace Bowl Park or Peace Bowl and a couple other things that we could start slowly working, building, but at the same time finding out, do we need to slow down and wait till we build like parking lots, stuff like that, or do we just piecemeal it? Is the big one.
Yes, agree, and that's why I wanted to talk about I thought the trail system would be important to discuss, because that needs to be a part of it as well. Getting people out there, and then, what's the plan for Centerville?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked a little bit last time too about, the trails that would go from town, and, if you have kids on bicycles running out there.
Correct.
Right now, it's extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to put that at the back end of, that needs to be thought out at the beginning.
Correct. And I know on the Kenton Blaine property with the trail that they're talking about putting out there, making sure it's very well thought out on how they do the trail, so other ballparks or whatever we're doing around it's not trying to figure out how to do around the trail that they put out. So
Yeah. Agree.
Did you all see the trail plan that the trail group has put together?
The last time I spoke, we went out with Al Christofferson and Jen, and I was trying to think who else was there, and met with the Southwest Mountain Bike Association. And other than that, I think he was offering his GIS services, but I haven't spoken with Al to see is there a final plan?
I don't know if it's final, but I mean, if I will ask Al, and I should be able to send it to everybody if you look at it, if he's good with that. I don't see why he wouldn't be, but I'll check with him first.
Okay.
It might be worth peeking at, seeing where things are at, and maybe even having them come in and talk.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, can I ask, is this an appropriate time to ask? You were talking about some people have funding for something already? I'm not familiar with that.
I think like local groups, the Legion, the Rotary. I can't remember exactly which one Jen was talking about with like the Peace Pole. That they already kind of have stuff, I don't know, set aside for it.
For a
So.
peace poll?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the peace poll?
We'll wait to let Jen decide. Like, I don't want to put it.
It's like
in the
a
plan?
Rotary thing.
It's a
isn't
Rotary-
it?
I
It's
think
like
it is a
big
Rotary thing.
Probably like with a flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would be my guess, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're all over, and there's people who apparently like go to visit these peace poles and all the different spots. I'm not really sure. I think they were originally, I'm gonna say looking to do it on like BLM or the WMA or somewhere else, and then they couldn't do that. But it's not overly complicated. But Mr. Chair, if I may, something else to maybe kick around is you have a couple entities that are revenue generating,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And if we have a lot of, we've got these big projects and these big plans and everything laid out, and we all know it takes money, whatnot. So just a thought to plant is maybe we find a way to support or bolster the revenue generation to create more revenue so we can afford to do more things or have a way to maintain, right? And I don't know what that looks like. I know, like you've mentioned the golf course previously, like we know it's going to be spendy to build out the rest of the 9 holes, but there's things like a functioning clubhouse,
Driving
simulators,
range. Yeah.
driving range, things that people can come do that it takes money to make money, I get it, but ways that can increase, and somehow maybe it's a public-private partnership with the county where you're trying to generate, someone, okay, we're now making enough money that we have a maintenance and somebody could help with maintenance of parkland, or, we can afford trash pickup, or any of these kinds of things that could help in perpetuity, right? But something that, as badly as I want the trails, like I really want the trails to connect everything, it would just be so nice for everyone to be able to get around. What's going to help us afford to do those trails, do them right, and then keep them maintained?
Right.
Is this where we were kind of talking about a couple months ago? I think a little offline, but with like the Rod and Gun Club and the golf course, their membership dues, like not setting a number, but a small percentage of their dues gets kicked back to a fund for Parks and Rec. Is the only way I could kind of see about getting a little bit of their memberships to help build and help improve their areas and more areas that we have.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like exactly. I just think that if there's entities there that are popular in creating money, and I think, Brad, you have the same problem, not a problem, but same thing going on as the golf course, where you're just getting a lot of people. They're flooding from Helena, they're flooding from Bozeman. I don't know, is there a way to capture that in some way to help us make some money to fulfill some of these projects and get some of this work done? Just a thought.
If I may add to the discussion briefly, my only take on that would be is the leases.
Yes.
Leases are fairly binding, and it would be inappropriate for me to say that would be a legitimate revenue source.
Yeah.
Especially in our instance, to where even though the public in comment was for us staying where we are, it was 60% or something, if I remember right, 65% or something to that effect. We don't cost the county money. We have been a base for membership and people to come from all over the state. So it's a little, and I mean, we're talking about a gun club that was started in 1902.
Yeah.
So it's been here a fair while. It's always going to be a battle. Funding is always going to be a nightmare. I will say that one of my prior endeavors, we had a similar situation where the they ended up having to go in and rewrite the lease, or trying to rewrite the lease. And in the end, it just made enemies out of everybody. You know, our benefit to the community is that we do have so many people that are not from Broadwater County or Lewis or Clark or Jefferson anymore. Our bigger attendees are from other parts of the state, which means they come in to eat, they come into Mountie Moose. We just had a match on Saturday. My daughter and I came down, and 90% of the guys shooting were walking through Mountie Moose. And so, and that's a one-day gig, you know, so I don't know what their take on the day was, but there were 60 shooters in there on a Saturday morning. So it's, you know, our benefit and everybody else's benefit, the golf course included, is not from memberships, it's from people, you know, using the opportunities. I know that when they first laid out that piece of land, it was not difficult per se, but it definitely was a little more ambitious than it probably ended up being. What I mean by that is that the way they laid out the other 2 baseball fields really doesn't make sense. And so what I'm trying to get at is that I just hope that this board would not try to make a future endeavor of baseball fields a bigger problem. So meaning that in 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, whatever it is, that they go to put in 2 more baseball fields, and now instead of being a circle, they're 2 opposite pieces that really don't have any way to work together. And it would be a waste of this money to do it, you know, that direction. But it is, I'm always defensive of gun club, as I always will be. Like everybody else, we're passionate about what we do. So I when I look through the stuff, and a lot of this looks very similar to the presentation that Great West did back earlier in the year, January, I believe. So some of it was in there, and it is nice to see estimates of what stuff is going to cost now. As it sits, the gun club, like I said, doesn't cost the county money. We literally pay everything from our side. We did well maintenance a couple years ago, and we've been doing that at that location for almost 30 years now. Better than 30 years. Before that, it was run by other individuals within the county, and they couldn't do it, so that's why we stepped in to do it. And that would have been, I believe, in the late 80s, so somewhere in that era. So that's my take from it. I don't mean to waste or spend all your time on it.
No.
But we're always willing to work and look at stuff. You know, I played soccer growing up. I played baseball growing up. I completely get it. You know, there's a lot of opportunities everywhere.
Correct.
So it is interesting. Those benefits would be for 3 months of the year, roughly. We run events 12 months a year, at least 2 a month. Anywhere from 15 to 100 people. And so, I mean, that's our take from it, you know, is even when there's 2 feet of snow on the ground, we still have people. We had, I will go back to January real quick, right when that snow hit, we had a match, and we had 91 shooters, and the high was 4. So we all stood outside freezing to death to shoot. So that's the kind of people our members are. I did talk to Judith the other day, which is our membership secretary. Our membership year runs September 1st, August 30th. We are currently over 620 members, as we said, family members, as we said. By looking at our average, that's about 2,800 people that we service in Broadwater County. And they're not just Broadwater County, but they come to Broadwater County to do stuff. And obviously, Townsend is the legitimate or logical choice to do stuff. I know quite a few of the guys went to the pizza place after the last match, so it is kind of that. Those kind of people we have. So I'm obviously against taking membership money towards.
It was
so
just,
that's my stand.
Just one of those ideas just thrown out.
100%. I'm not taking it as gospel. It's just my public comment on that part. So, all right, and just for information, our current membership is $75 a year for a family.
Correct.
So it went up $5 this last year. Our lifetime memberships are $500, and they've never gone up since we started that program 30 years ago. So they've been that way. We used the lifetime memberships to get our initial money to fund a lot of the stuff that we did 30 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's $500, because we needed a couple $1,000s to do what we were doing at the time.
Correct.
So
And that's
That's
for
good.
both sides.
both sides, correct. Yep. The Canton Lane is used, from March through October, sometimes in November, we use Canton Lane twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
During the winter, it's 4 times a week.
For
And that includes,
inside or out, both?
it would be inside that time of year, yep.
Okay.
So 4-H uses ours for small bore stuff,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Air rifle.
Brad, did you say which months? I'm sorry.
So from March to October, we use outdoor Canton Lane a bunch. We use indoor Canton Lane at that same time also. But from October 15th, which is when 4-H does their registration, we ran indoor stuff all the way into May this year, I think. We did, as another notable point, this last Saturday, Sunday, we had the Montana Conservation Group. I don't know if it's a incorporation or if it's not a business, but and what they do is they bring in kids, and these are younger kids that have just passed hunter education. In this instance, they're trying to build bird hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids are interested in hunting and either have parents that don't hunt or have parents that don't know anything about hunting and specifically birds. And so this group comes in. They do a 2-day class. They had FWP came in. I don't know if Adam came in or not. I wasn't there for it. But I think they had 9 kids, and then most of the parents stayed the whole time. And it was a 2-day thing. They shot trap on Saturday afternoon, and the rest of the time was about conservation and land management, things like that. We have another one of those scheduled in 2 months, and that group is out of Bozeman. Technically, the instructors that were here were out of either Sealy or Lewistown, and they had 2 guys come in for that. They also had game warden here in town come out. Used to be Josh. I don't know who it is now. So they have a turnover that I miss sometimes. Luckily, I don't know him by first name basis. But so that's the other kind of stuff. The gentleman that put it on is retired Montana Highway Patrol Lieutenant Ken Hickethar. Kind of a unique name, so he kind of stands out when you say it.
Yeah.
So he led it, and we had those kids. In those instances, we don't charge them for those events. So that 2 days of water and gas and electricity and everything else is because they're kids. We 100% write off as a club. The clays that they shot will get written off as a club, just for that reason. So,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of things we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately or unfortunately, we have a lot of those requests that don't kind of fall into those parameters, and we won't do them. But in this case, it fell into the parameters that we do. So it is kind of the fun stuff about it. I see the trap program picking up more this coming year. The U.S. Scholastic Clay is it's fastest growing group of kids sports in the country. We just went up to state trap state in Great Falls 2 weeks ago. I think there were 11 schools, if I remember right. And it was 140 kids, maybe something like that. They just held the 5-stand virtual tournament in Helena last Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
East Helena High School finished country number 1. 2 of the top 5 kids in the country are out of East Helena. I will brag and say one of them was my daughter, and as junior varsity, she took higher than the varsity girls, or shot better than the varsity girls. So kind of a good thing. So I see it personally on both levels. Of it is Jefferson has a team this year, which is a school of similar size. So that's why I see Townsend or Broadwater County getting more involved with that stuff.
Correct.
And in that case, if it's either the gun club or it's Logan or Helena.
Correct.
Jefferson travels to Helena to shoot. And those parents, they absolutely say they hate it. It's just because it's twice a week and they just don't want to drive into Helena. Yeah. Who could blame them? But so that's our role long term is, we want to be here for the members. We want to be here for the community. the kids are a big part of what we do for sure.
Yeah. That's the master plan. Doing one now helps, but if the county would have done one years ago and came up with a somewhat of an idea how to use the land and use it wisely,
We've gone a long ways.
it's now it's like, all right, we have you in the middle, and now we have everybody, all the other entities that want to use the property too. So trying to find the best way to use the property.
Yeah. Well, and we fight the same thing up at Indian
Mhm.
Creek. It's not laid out the best.
Yeah.
It's laid out for the money they had at the time, which I
Mhm.
really hate that philosophy.
I do too.
Yeah,
You know, and it's just throwing away good money is really what it comes down to.
it is. So
You know, and yeah, I mean, it was a handwritten MOU.
Mhm.
I mean, for anybody that's seen it, that's what it looks like.
exactly.
That's how Montana was back.
Yep.
So, and we appreciate for what it is. But, anyways, I apologize for
Brad,
every time. Huh?
I just want to say thanks for giving that background information, because if it ends up where I think you said 60% or what, I wrote it down, some 65%
Yeah.
of the folks want it to stay where it is, which is fine. We just need to continue to work with you all and figure out
100%.
what activities should be held and where, and coordinate with you all and all of that. So
Yeah, so we're not
Thank
wasting
you
good
for
money.
that.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that number came from the Great West study that was done at the time. And so it was kind of it was surprising that it was that high, but it was interesting for sure. But
Yeah.
absolutely. I meant to be at the last meeting. I apologize. But I do try to attend them when I can for sure. So
Especially when it pertains to your club a little bit.
it does, you know, and my term's up here at the end of the year, and depending on what the wife says, you know, it's the gun club is a 4-day-a-week gig for me
Mhm.
right now. You know, I'm down here 4 days a week. So it's, you know, and I've done that for 7 years now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there's somebody to replace me, but
Mm-hmm.
there is, hopefully there is.
Yep.
But I'll gladly contribute along the way. I absolutely
Correct.
appreciate being involved in the process. So,
I appreciate it.
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate all your information too. It's good to know these kinds of things,
Mhm.
just to be educated on it all and where you guys are. One question I have, and I know it's somewhere already been in there, but how long is your lease? When is your lease?
So I believe it's 29. I think it's 29 again,
Mhm.
and it was written as a 4-cycle renew, right? So every 10 years it would be automatically renewed for up to 4 cycles, total of 50 years.
Okay.
Yep, and it would be 2019, I believe is when it is. Or, I'm sorry, 2029. I think it was signed in 2019. Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty easy, and I think that was the same lease that pretty much everybody did at the time, the golf course and
Yeah.
Baldy.
And now the new changes to the lease terms a little bit. They'll probably rewrite it a little bit.
Yeah. I do like that the lease was as very definitive as it was, because it gave us direction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't have to keep wondering what's going to happen.
Correct.
You know, I mean, it was. I know the lease was delayed, and when it was supposed to be done, it was supposed to be done 10 years prior, 15 years prior, whatever it was. But it was. It's always a little unnerving when you don't know where it's going.
Correct. Exactly.
You know, and
Do we invest or we not invest?
I know, and that's it. You know, is 100% the gig. So,
Mm-hmm.
yep,
well, thanks for coming.
absolutely,
I
guys.
have a question for you, actually.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Well, the safety zone, right? Do you know of other clubs that have the same, I say issue, but same challenge where, hey, we've got space here, we want to be able to use the space, but you know, it's like, and I get it. There's people, like a lot of comments that we saw were like, I do not want my kid playing softball or baseball next to where they're shooting guns, right? So is there a way, or, and then you don't have to answer this right away, but I'm thinking like, gosh, you say you build fields, right? And then it's like, okay, the gun club's shooting these days. Those are days where this is not happening. You know what I mean? And I don't know that that would obviously be, there would be challenges working out that schedule, because there's probably a lot of overlap.
There
because
is.
Everybody wants to be there.
Yep.
But I didn't know if there's any type of other safety structures or things that could be put up to where you could be using a field without worrying
Yeah.
about that, right?
I know.
Like, I don't know.
Trees.
Trees.
A lot of the places we go have trees, mature trees. Yeah. and they have them at the
So we
end
just
of
gotta
the
wait
boundary.
like 50 years.
Well, ideally,
Plan.
but it is, that's how other places mitigate it, and it mitigates the noise as well that way. The one, for instance, that I know of specifically is outside Salt Lake. They are backed up next to a municipal park. The only dividing points are mature trees, and they have a fence that's another 40 or 50 feet beyond that, meant as just to keep people away from it. They don't want people picnicking underneath the trees, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
And
It's lovely.
their boundary is only like 240 yards. They have the same requirements we do with the shot size. We default with ATA to the 330, mostly because I'm sure our insurance likes it more that way. And it's obviously safer in the long term that way. But they use, and then they have a parking lot on the other side. So then the only thing that would theoretically happen would be property damage of the vehicles. And then there's a dog park, I think is the first thing there. So that's how they manage it as well. That is a very active trap club down there. They are 6 days a week kind of people.
Oh, wow.
They're just nonstop tournaments at that point. When we were down there, they were running 4 tournaments on the same day.
So there would be ways to do it,
Mhm.
given the space that we have,
100%.
since you're already doing additional space.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's,
No.
as a person that has been shot at, I don't mean to say it that way, but sounds funny to say it, but I also had bird dogs. We compete with bird dogs. The fields are typically 2 acres. They're planted birds, and we harvest the birds, and dogs retrieve them. Well, they point and retrieve them, hopefully. And occasionally you'll get, because of the staging area, it's very similar to a baseball field. So you have the center where the concession stand would be. That's where people wait. So cars are there, parking's there. And occasionally you'll hear, heads down, kind of yell out, and because somebody will see the bird get up, and you're 100 yards away, and it's just never anything. It's significant distance, which is a third of what we run as a safety boundary. So the shot getting to where people would be are very non-existent, really, at that point. The trees are a safety margin, and then the fence is a deterrent. Doesn't keep people from jumping the fence, but it does. I will say, even at Indian Creek, we have trespassers jump fence with shooting range signs on them. So,
Well, so does the guard, apparently.
so does the guard, 100%.
It's got people that go all over there during
Yeah.
live.
Side by sides 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely ways to work with it for sure. And I apologize, I haven't met you 2 ladies yet. I was not here when that happened. I apologize, but for us, it is a fairly expensive move to move stuff up to Indian Creek, and we have the same problem there. Is there's just no real land for it. But there are options with other adjoining land that might be a possibility. But that does nothing but add expense as well.
Correct.
So all the way around it adds expense. Trap is not a huge moneymaker for us. That's the only money we get as revenue for Canton Lane. 4-H, all that stuff, they pay for all their stuff, and we take care of electricity and heating. So that's, for us, that's our source. It costs us $3.60 for 25 clays. We charge $5. So in that we have to do electricity and maintenance and everything else on the machines, and we have to store the clays. So it's not even a huge revenue stream for us. We have other venues that do that for us, membership included. So it's not like we're making $10 on one person in one day. And we're lucky to make $3 on a person in a weekend. So at least at Canton Lane in that scenario. We have sporting clays up at Indian Creek, and it's kind of the same boat that it is $3.60 and we charge $5. So
you guys are able to sustain your own funding and everything from what you use it for?
we've not used county money in a long time for anything. When I just can't remember. We did an FWP grant 35 years ago when Indian Creek first went in up there, started in up there. We did something with the trust board 8 or 9 or 10 years ago. And as I remember, it was like a $1,600 grant through the trust board. But other than that, and that was done at the request of the trust board to help fund some projects. So yeah, we don't use county money, and we obviously maintain an insurance policy and electricity and propane, and so yeah, it's pretty normal stuff for us.
Would it be more feasible to look at boundaries and borders and safety than it would obviously be, like you're saying, and you've said before, it costs so much to move.
It does cost so much to move. So when I first started coming to these rec board meetings last year, truth be told, 8 or 9 years ago, I came to them as well. And at that time, it was all about trails. And so it was interesting. But if the range were turned more towards Canton Lane and the corner of Delger, instead of the direction that it is, it would open up that bottom space a little bit more. It would open up a small spot back there for the golf course to put in a hole just past the safety boundary. So it is, it wouldn't be a whole bunch back there. Our footprint would roughly remain about the same size, unfortunately. Which right now I believe is just less than 30 acres, if I remember, 29 acres, something like that. Or is it 39 acres?
I can't remember.
Can't remember, but it's somewhere in there.
It's right in there somewhere.
Yeah. So if it was turned a little bit, so I did get with an electrician this year, because I believe you brought it up late last year when the baseball guys were here. And they talked about turning it. And so I got with an electrician and a concrete guy. And it's like $75,000 to turn 2 machines. Yeah.
$75,000.
Because they're dug in concrete bunkers underneath them, and then because there's clays, they can't be exposed to water. So they're watertight kind of scenarios. They just turn into a nightmare. We had one of them that filled. It's the one that 4-H currently uses right now, and to fix that one, I believe this was 6 years ago, was almost $40,000. Wow. So it's a significant chunk along the way. There's no easy way.
No, there's not.
So looking at boundaries and borders and things like that might be the best route to go.
And I don't really want to move. I don't really want to turn them, but I understand on the same token that might be what it takes. So I'm game for discussing it 100%.
You don't really want to turn.
I don't, because it's just money.
Would you have to turn if you were going to put a boundary up? You would. You couldn't leave it the same direction it is and put anything around it. Okay.
Yeah, and
Well,
good.
okay, so I just want to make sure I understand.
Absolutely.
So why would you? Because the baseball fields are proposed to be there, or why?
I think
it would be to open up so they could put more baseball fields in that bottom corner.
Yeah.
Okay, if that even happens.
If that even happens,
Yeah.
correct, yeah. I really hate to see the 2 baseball fields down there, because it really doesn't open you guys up in 20 years for another 2 or whatever. I looked at baseball fields after we started discussing this last year, and they're always with the concession in the middle, and outfield is outer ring.
Yeah.
That's it. Unless the county acquires that property that's being farmed right there, there's no way to complete that in R1, because they are flat against the flat edge would be against county property or the county line, property boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea was you could turn it one direction or the other, and we discussed it several months ago. If we turned it to the south, we have 4 machines in place. They're in line. They do have to remain in line. We can't make a horseshoe out of them or semicircle or anything like that. But if we turned it to the south and moved what we call trap house number 1 forward, it gets us into a boundary issue with the property owner that's there. The other one is if we turned it to the northwest, technically, we have the road that we have to deal with as well. And so that it kind of really messes with the with safety boundaries and
Yeah.
the way we go. We have two big tournaments, trap tournaments a year. At both those tournaments, all 4 machines are running the whole weekend. So we even thought about, if we reduce a machine, could we make more space that way? And
Correct.
it gets hard for sure. Those tournaments pay for our clays for the year. To put that in perspective, that's how we fund those. Every year, we buy 24 pallets of clays. So it's a fair amount of. It's one truck comes just to bring us clays.
Correct.
So, pretty interesting, but it does get tough. The reason they laid it out the way they did a long time ago was they didn't want to put any physical boundaries. They just wanted the spatial boundary of the range, if that makes sense. If they'd put trees in 30 years ago,
Yeah.
it would have helped us.
Right.
It would have made turning harder or easier. I'm not sure
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
depending on which way it goes. And then with the fields down at the south there, it's, access to them gets tough. Parking gets tough.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of problems that I'm glad you guys have and not me. And I'll do what I can to make our stuff continue to work. But yeah, physical boundaries or physical barriers would be the ideal scenario. And they don't have to be big nets or anything like that.
That's what I was wondering. I didn't know what the.
I know we use nets for archery and stuff like that in fields.
Yep.
And I know we've used them. I have to find out the actual brand, but when I was in the Marine Corps, we actually had nets up for our skeet range at Camp Pendleton. Was right next to the flight line.
Yeah.
And they were shooting there, and I know they had nets up to protect the flight line, but nets with high wind here.
Right. And they're not inexpensive. The Olympics.
They're not cheap either.
Yeah.
I know my archery ones are pretty expensive just
Yep.
for those.
Yeah, they are. The Olympics has this exact same scenario
Yeah.
with physical restrictions versus even that. They still always put a boundary behind them, as they're not typically right up
Correct.
against the thing there. But yes.
Well, that sounds good. Any other questions, ladies?
I don't have any questions. I appreciate all the information.
Yeah, a lot of good information.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's good.
guess based on all this information, which has been really helpful for me, I think definitely now I'm thinking about the baseball fields and location. So I think we need to keep that in mind.
Correct. The same thing goes with the golf course, because you can always move into the golf course where their proposed area is just as easy as you can move into your area too. So
Yeah, I think there's going to be some movement along the way.
correct. That's why I said the documents live and breathe, and so it's not set in standard. I know we have what people voted on concept with 3 of all, out of 3 of them, but that doesn't mean that's the one that's set in stone. But it's the one that makes you the most worried.
It does, but it doesn't really. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the way I look at it is, the golf course was allocated so much land.
Mm-hmm.
That boundary of where that allocation has not changed.
Correct.
The only thing that has carried over from a specific location is from the MOU and how it was originally written and drawn up at that time. So the only one that's ever been pulled into question is ours. That being said, we're an existing facility that has uses, and other entities right now just aren't using it there. So it does. There's going to be some adjustment. I'm on board.
One that hasn't come, and I might be running out of town for saying this one. The school approved baseball, but did they ever talk to anybody on where to put fields or the idea? Or we have baseball, give me a field.
Yeah, I think it was. Let's build the plane while we fly. But
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to get it going and said we don't need. We can practice in a field like if we have to. I think
Yeah.
that was the thought. But
Well, and there's other fields in our area
In our
that
area.
could be
Yeah, and
revamped, built differently.
agreed. And I mean, there's different. I'm always curious what could happen with working with the city, because you've got McCarthy Park, right?
Mhm.
And there's stuff that needs done there, but maybe I don't know. Like it's all figure outable.
Yes.
We have to get creative. and
Correct.
With
Is that a word?
nope, it's my word. It's my
Okay.
word. That's like my MO word because I just it's
How do
true.
you think that went through?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's figure outable. Everything's figure outable. It just and it's like you have the crappy ideas too that come up, and you got to like still bring them up, like you said.
Mhm.
Don't shoot.
Yeah.
Bring up the bad ideas, and you can cross those off the list.
Correct.
But you never know when a piece of bad idea might
Mhm.
lend itself to a really good
Yeah.
idea. I don't know. I think it's gonna just take some creativity and how it gets structured, and it might take some unique partnerships
Yep.
to make some things work. Like, hey, Brad and Run Gun, like, what if we found you a bunch of money that would help you turn
100%.
and do what you need
Correct.
to do, right? And then we can maybe plant some stuff, forget a boundary up, and then we can facilitate the fields that
100%.
need to go there. So, it might
Yeah.
probably not going to happen in 5 years,
Mhm.
but it's going to be a
And then-
long game.
We could start planting trees.
Exactly. Lots of trees.
I mean,
Right, just plant
trees are-
them everywhere.
they are. We'll
all
cut
the
down
way
the
around.
ones we don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then-
I will say that we're receptive to whatever occurs. We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But it is, but we always figure it out. So
Hmm.
I don't want to use your word because I'll mess it up, but we always figure it out.
No, you can use
I was
it.
close.
It's not like incorporated or trademarked or anything.
It's not trademarked,
Figure outable.
So, I mean, we're game for it.
Okay.
I'm a fairly abrasive person, so I apologize. It's just my nature and the way I am. But I'm always game for, if you have questions, call or ask. Or, I attend these when I can, and I don't mind contributing at all.
Yeah.
I do understand that there's going to be some give and take, for sure.
Open discussion.
It is, 100%. So that's why it's a public meeting, right?
Correct.
Open discussion.
Absolutely.
To bring up one point on your revenue, we have used, or I haven't used, but when I lived in Hawaii, we had a tax there, and I love this word, tax. And I know
The big
there
T
are,
word.
4 or 5 counties within the state that use the resort tax. Anyway, the way they do it in Hawaii was if you were a resident of that county, or pretty much the state, anybody that came in from outside, you paid your resort tax, your general excise tax. And if you lived in the county, you showed them your ID, you lived within the county, you don't have to pay the tax. That's one way, but that's not for this meeting. But
I mean, I don't think you'd find a lot of people arguing with you on that.
and it would capture the wonderful people that come out from all the different clubs, from golf course and everybody else that comes into the town, Monte Moose, all the bars, and you could raise little funds that way. But and then we're not taking it out of the county's pockets because we're already taxed enough, but we're taking it out of someone else's.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad it's you proposing it.
yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a solid brainstorm session,
come visit you at a commissioner meeting and see if I can get run out of that one.
No,
But
I
I
don't know.
appreciate
You might have
it.
more luck over, a couple beers,
Yeah.
and then just start brainstorming some cool things that could happen. Who knows?
To get the meeting moving a little forward, unless you have anything else. No, I really appreciate all the info. That really helped, and
Yeah.
Thank you.
being here means a lot.
Thank you.
So
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment from the email.
Okay.
May I read it? It's from Jesse Swenson from Golf. It's, for the record, the land allocated to the golf course has changed over the years. It was reduced pretty dramatically in 2008 or 2009, I believe.
okay.
It was reduced.
Reduced dramatically.
Use it or lose it.
Use
golf
it.
course.
There you go.
Kidding,
And
kidding.
there is something you could put there. Use it or come up with funding, or it gets moved to another
Everybody just needs to
entity.
come up with a couple $1 million real quickly. Yeah, right.
About $1 million a hole.
$1 million
Yeah,
a hole.
I know,
Yes.
I know.
You could be where I used to work at the Yellowstone Ranch and just build the golf course without water rights. So,
Oh,
Clyde Park.
I heard about that.
Yes.
Yes, I heard about that.
Oh, boy.
Whoops.
Yeah.
all right. Do we want to keep pushing through, or do we want to table updates and discussions for the A through F to the next meeting? I don't know. We're
I have
already
a
at
quick
our time.
discussion on A, or quick update on A.
Okay.
Let's do a quick.
Okay.
Yes.
She got it. It's gone. Somebody bought it.
Somebody bought it.
Yep, so we don't have to pay for it. Yay.
Did we get our?
I don't think we got money back. We just didn't have. Okay, I don't know for sure. I'm not even gonna.
I can't remember either. So I was just asking.
I can't remember. Because I knew we had put down the down payment. I want to say we're getting it back.
It was either that or we got like half of it back. Something.
Yeah,
I don't
I
remember.
want to say, but it's a win. We're
It's
gonna
a win.
take it as
Either way,
a
it's
W.
a win.
Yeah.
So we're not paying that bill.
And
Sorry.
which one is this one?
This is the vault toilet.
Where?
Connors.
It was going to go in at Connors.
Yeah.
And it was purchased, but there was a really long wait for it. And during that time, I think there was kind of a step back, and everybody went, "Whoa, this is gonna drain any funds that we have." And then we don't know like who's putting it in and all the everything.
Okay.
So it was just a lot. It was I think the intention and the idea was very good,
Okay.
but
Okay.
We didn't have a great plan,
yeah, there was not a great plan attached. Agreed.
and I'm
Cool.
sorry for the prior board.
Yeah.
So it's gone, so that's good, and we'll find out if we get any money back or not. Maybe next meeting.
Yeah. Cool. No. And I can also ask her at work and just send out an email and say, "Here's the deal."
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the trail system, I think we kind of covered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did cover the trail system. Bridge crossing. Are we still trying to move the Toston Bridge down? Is that
No, this is for the Missouri Bridge,
okay?
over the bridge over the Missouri as you come into town.
Right.
I will say that I do know that MDT told Commissioner Randolph, no, nobody is attaching anything to the highway bridge. So if there is a bridge that's going to go there to connect the trails, it's got to be a standalone bridge. Yeah. So I've spoken with Al a little bit about funding and grants and looking into that, and I wish we just had a grant writer. If anybody knows a grant writer that just wants to
AI?
bust out some grants. I think it's going to take more than that on the federal grants. I mean, some of these might even be, might even require like an engineering, like Great West.
Correct.
Yeah.
To help with, but so that's my only update on the bridge crossings.
Okay.
MDT said no way Jose on theirs.
Okay.
Parks and Rec strategic plan.
So I brought that up because I was thinking, so currently the Parks and Recreation Board is working on the master plan,
Mm-hmm.
but what's the strategy for the future? So there's other things that we're working on, obviously trail system,
Yes.
bridge, park, whatever. And so I think at the next meeting it would be useful to discuss
Developing a little.
developing a strategic plan.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether it's 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years out, whatever. With a vision, the county's growing, does it tie it back into the growth policy, etc.
Okay.
So we can table that one.
Okay. Youth involvement on the board. I have a meeting set up with the school late July.
Nice.
Seeing about getting that involved, and then seeing how we want to incorporate them into the board meetings.
Cool.
And that goes for, I'm thinking big and thinking through all the boards. Why not get them involved if they want to be involved? So.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they could get some type of credit. That's some, you know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
kind of.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some type of letter, at least something to
yeah,
put in there.
yeah, something that just I've spent my time. You're
Well,
not
and
really
it
into.
could be a community service that
Mhm.
different organizations that are
Mhm.
attached to the school, the kids do too.
Well, like Interact, like Nicole just did they took that trip for Interact, which is kind of like a youth Rotary
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be you know, similar where you've got a kid or two in one of the groups, you know, they're on a couple of boards, they're learning, they would learn some stuff.
Correct.
Sure.
Good.
And we kind of discussed a little bit funding for Parks and Rec Board. Unless you ladies have another idea.
No, I think that's an ongoing topic.
Just more taxes.
More taxes, that's
Nobody's
great.
gonna care.
We're trying to tax everybody outside the county.
You're right, yeah,
Right.
right. Not internal.
All right, any new business?
The only thing I remember them talking about is, are we going to have, you know, this is a city county, are we going to have a city representative?
I think we have one, they just do not show.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
From the council.
Well, and me
Mhm.
being new,
Yeah.
I've never met anybody or seen anything, so just curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay.
The city-county thing kind of changed, I want to say 2 years ago. Because it's a county board, but like a lot of what was going on was, it was all happening in the city.
Mhm.
It was like, well, maybe we should just do, if there is a city project that needs done, maybe we just do an MOU with the city for that
Mhm.
project, like as things come up, and then the city representative would be present to help, reflect whatever the city's doing, so.
And a little bit for the board, we do focus a little bit outside the city, but we're within walking distance of the city. The projects we're looking at, one thing we don't look at are down our south end, further up north, or any of the other areas, Winston, to
Right.
see what those communities need. They might have a place for us to put a ballpark, something to that effect.
Yeah, and I think that's where that strategic plan would help.
Correct. That's a really good idea. Action items for next meeting. Continue moving on with the strategic plan and funding. Anything else?
I can't think of anything. Will there be some follow through from after the commission meeting? And the hearing and all
We
of
should
that?
hear that next board meeting, correct?
Yeah, so probably, yeah, because we have it on the agenda, like with an official public hearing for it. We had opened up for comments. There's a few comments that have been received on it for the public hearing that we can talk about. I mean, I don't think as many people commented as they did before, probably because it's a lot of the same what was there. But yeah, so we'll be talking about it and voting on it on Wednesday.
Okay.
And then once it's passed, it's go time. If we want to take our living, breathing document and do stuff with it.
And the public hearing's Wednesday, the 25th, at what time?
10:20.
Yes.
Yeah.
10:20.
That was what was put in the paper, so that's what we had to have on the agenda. I know. It's very specific.
Any comments from the floor or from internet?
No, that was just, nope, just Jesse's.
I will ask Al, and if I can go ahead and share that trails plan with you guys as well.
That
If
works.
I can, I'll email it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Next meeting we have scheduled for July 21st. Are we good for that date for the ones that are here?
So far, yep.
I'm good for that day.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's going to be here so fast. I can't even believe how quick June went. Yes, I will be here.
And then school starts.
Do we need to make a motion for that?
Just really don't get me started.
We
Sorry.
need to make a motion for
I
what?
can't remember. Do we have to make a
Sorry.
motion for
No,
that?
you're gonna declare it, no, you can just declare it.
Oh, no.
Right,
No,
so-
no.
Our next meeting will be July 21st at 6. And with no other comments, I'll turn the meeting for this evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad, I have a question for you.
I got a question too, I just thought of.
You did? Okay.
What are they doing with the baseball field?